On this episode of Soul Searchers,
we're here in the little town of Bainbridge, Pennsylvania at the beautiful Haldeman Mansion.
You can actually hear the spirits coming down these stairs.
Apparently I picked up an unbelievable EVP.
They actually found skeletal remains here then?
Yes.
Oh my god, the light went out again.
Something just grabbed me. You're searching for something. Whether you realize it or not, you are.
Dude, get the car!
It's in your genes. It's part of your nature. It's who you are. You need to know. For us, the search began with a single house. A single house that turned out to be incredibly haunted. I didn't do this myself. Kill him. We became driven to find out more, so we keep searching. Searching for answers. We need to know.
Kathy, Jim, and I headed out early down through the winding roads of Pennsylvania towards the little town of Bainbridge that's located right outside of Harrisburg. We're meeting several other groups there over the next couple of days to investigate and film at this incredibly haunted location. This site has been investigated by many other paranormal groups, and it's had tons of activity reported there. It's also very large, located in a quiet area, and has hundreds of years of history going for it. They've even found Native American graves on the property, so it makes for an ideal location to investigate. Needless to say, we couldn't wait to get there. A serene ride on a beautiful sunny day took an ominous turn when we passed the infamous 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant. It was the site of the nation's worst nuclear accident and really gave the residents of Central PA quite a scare back in 1979. We had to stop to check it out. We arrived at the mansion a short time later and were able to walk around for a bit and get a feel for the place before anyone else got there. Jim also had time to set up and fly our drone around the property to get some aerial footage for this episode. He got some really good shots of the mansion and the beautiful land that surrounds it. Great. Maybe let's go around the front and we'll get a couple shots out in front of the thing. don't I start with you, Dale, and why don't you tell us a little history about this place?
Okay, so when you talk about the history of the Haldeman Mansion, I think you need to talk about the history of Locust Grove. And as I had mentioned earlier, when I think of the history of Locust Grove, I think of four distinct heritages. There's an American native heritage here. There's also a colonial heritage, an early American, and then a scientific. And you could write a book about all of them. A lot of interesting things have happened here. We believe this building was built in 4 stages. The original part here, these 2 rooms, were built after 1767 and before 1785 when John Haldeman bought the property.
Okay, so who was the original builder of this home, do you think, then?
Would have been possibly a Scot. He was a miller and down along the Chickies Creek. The first 3 Scots-Irishmen that owned this property probably lived here, but he may have been absentee. Two of them were fur traders, and another one was an officer in the French and Indian War.
So there was a lot of Indian activity here then? If they were fur traders, they had a lot of Indians coming and going, do you think?
Archaeologists have found 3 villages that are within 1,000 yards of the mansion. One possibly as old as 1200 AD. They were across the creek. Then there was another village, a Kanoi village, which is about 200 yards to the northeast of the mansion. And where you're standing right now was another Shanksbury village. They discovered several burials and a double stockaded palisade in the front yard. It was under the mansion.
They actually found skeletal remains here then?
Yes.
Wow. And they're possibly, how old would you say?
They were in the 1500s.
Wow.
Shanksbury.
That's pretty amazing. So this was kind of the center of all these little villages. Now I realize some of them were back in time before the houses and stuff were here, but this was a pretty interesting spot then, to say the least.
Yes.
One of the most prominent people to live at the mansion was Samuel Haldeman, the son of John Haldeman, who originally purchased the land back in the 1700s. He was an internationally known scientist and professor at Delaware College and the University of Pennsylvania. He had quite an impact on his field of study at the time, producing more than 200 publications in 6 separate disciplines during his life. He was friends with many prominent people of the era, including Charles Darwin and Noah Webster. Darwin even used some of his papers for his groundbreaking work, The Origin of Species. His image was even captured by famed Civil War photographer Matthew Brady, a huge honor at the time. Samuel Haldeman was considered one of America's most prominent men of science in the 19th century, and he walked these very halls that we'll be investigating over the next few nights. Laura and Dale were nice enough to take us through the rest of the mansion and told us some great stories about the people who used to live there.
The rest of it was built as a bedroom. And they talk about how glorious.
We ended up in the artifact room, and it definitely had a feel to it. Tell you what, walking into this room, it has a different feel for sure, doesn't it?
It does. I will tell you, this is, I always tell groups, paranormal groups, that if they have sensitives in the group, to kind of be leery when they come in this room, because the energy is very strong. And I don't know if it's because of all the items in the room, because everything in this room, whether it was in this mansion or not at one time, it was actually owned by Haldeman. Is that correct, Dale? The furniture and everything. And I believe this is the one room that I call the Grouchy Man. Again, I apologize. Kind of hovers over.
Now this room again definitely had an eerie feel to it, but looking around at the artifacts that were there, we came across one that was a little bizarre. The phrase, "death is inevitable," was written over and over again in Elizabeth Haldeman's school book. That definitely set the mood for the night. So we're here with RIP researchers and paranormal. We're at the incredible haunted Haldeman Mansion. And I understand you guys have some pretty interesting experiences here. Linda, why don't you tell me about a couple of the experiences you've had here?
I was upstairs investigating with Laura, and we were back in the kids' room, and we were walking towards the front bedroom, and we heard footsteps behind us, and then we heard what sounded like pebbles being thrown at us.
Wow.
We both heard it. I checked it out later, thinking it could be plaster that had fallen, but the room was clean.
Okay.
And then we were walking into the one room, into the big bedroom, and we heard an EVP go, "Shh, it's Laura." And that was really cool.
I bet that freaked her out
cool.
when you played that for her, huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And they know your name, yeah.
Here's the EVP. And Hannah, what kind of experiences have you had here?
Well, I was investigating the second floor in the big bedroom, and I heard ladies' voices in the back, clear as day. I also heard footsteps in the back, like they were crossing through the rooms.
Wow, that's amazing. Ron, I understand you had an EVP that you caught that was pretty specific, that you were telling me about earlier.
Yeah, Laura was over in the summer kitchen and she said to me and Linda while they were finishing up over there if we wanted to walk through the mansion. And it was amazing, we just couldn't get over the place. But in the one section at the top of the stairs on the second floor, for some reason, the first time I ever got sick, I told Linda that I had to go out because I didn't feel good, and I was just walking out with the camera on, and as I came into what was the original, or the newer kitchen coming through there, apparently I picked up an unbelievable EVP in the sense that a gentleman sounded like in the front room yelling the name Haldeman, which I didn't know until we did the review of the camera later that night.
This is the voice that he caught. Very cool. Okay, let's cut right there. That was really good. As far as the equipment setup for this location, we decided to keep it simple. Just a few static cameras and audio recorders placed in a couple key spots was all we needed. We'd be relying on the sensitives we invited along to guide us through the night and would be carrying one night vision camera to record the action. So we placed a single static camera in the information room covering the stairs and also placed a geopod and some kids' toys on the steps. We placed another static camera in the ballroom along with a green laser grid. We also placed an audio recorder on the second floor steps. We unpacked our sleeping bags and got the room cleaned up before heading to dinner. But while doing so, the desk light mysteriously turned off by itself. Not once, but 3 times. It seemed every time I would turn it back on, it turned off again. And it happened twice now. We've tried to debunk it. It stays on by itself. Like I said, I have to turn it pretty good. And you can definitely hear the click, and I heard the click the second time when it went off. As soon as I picked up the camera, it did it again. Oh my God.
What? Went out again.
The light went out again. What'd you do?
I didn't do nothing.
Did you plug anything in?
No, you want me to turn it back on?
It never clicked off again while we were there. Before leaving, I also put a Periscope 360 at the top of the cellar steps and put a camera on it to see if we could catch something while we were gone. I got the little spot meter there in the doorway. If you come up, it'll actually go off. As soon as we left, this happened. Very cool. So here we are at the Haldeman Mansion, and we had Mark and Paula Anstein join us from Gettysburg. They're well-known sensitives down there, and they're going to take us through, and we're just kind of feel what we feel.
Wow.
And what'd you see, Mark?
Something just walked right through there.
Really?
Yeah.
And I
You got a camera in that
definitely
room?
getting the cold chills.
We sure are. We sure do have a camera in there.
Hopefully we saw it.
Okay, cool.
Hopefully we picked it up.
All right, that's a good start. That's a good start.
It came from over there.
Did it go across the grid?
Oh my.
No, it was in this room right
Oh,
here.
that room.
We might actually
It
have
came
caught
from
it.
right there
Maybe
and
it
over
came
there.
down the steps.
Maybe,
like we were
hopefully.
talking about
Yeah,
earlier.
I have the camera
Oh,
running
I'm
over
getting
by the
I'm
steps.
getting the shivers now.
Are ya?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very cool.
Yes.
Here's the video from the camera in that room. Did you see it? Here it is again. Watch the right-hand side. Now, while I was editing this episode, I heard what sounds like a voice as well. They're going to take us through, and we're just going to feel what we feel, But when matched up with the video, it turns out to be Mark. We winded our way through the house with Mark and Paula stopping several times to talk to the spirits they felt were there.
Wherever you are, you're welcome to join us, walk around with us. My name's Mark.
I'm Paula. How are you?
We have Kevin, Kathy, and Jim with us. What is your name?
Yeah.
Can you smell it?
Yeah.
I smell it like it was burning though.
Yeah, you're going to get that smell from these things.
Seriously?
Right here.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
The last time I was here, we had a few people come in this room right here and join us.
Mark told me later on he felt there were several spirits that were following us throughout the house. As we made our way up to the attic, this happened. Hold on 1 second, I'm going to get a shot down these stairs. Oh, guys,
I heard it.
I heard it.
something moved on the first floor.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Cool.
it was loud.
That's good.
Here's what the recorder on the second floor landing picked up. Oh, guys,
I heard it.
I heard it.
something moved on the first floor.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Cool.
it was loud. Oh, guys.
I heard it.
I heard it.
Voice recorder up down there too.
You guys heard that?
I did.
It was like a pop, or
Yeah, exactly.
like something skipped or something fell. Who's down there? Ooh, that was creepy. Very creepy. Why don't you guys ask some questions and see if we can get them to come out.
Did the kids used to play down here?
We don't mean you any harm. We just want to talk with you and see what you think about everybody coming in here.
Jacob, are you down here? We know you hang out up on the second floor, but maybe you found your way down here.
One of the very first clear EVPs I ever got doing an investigation was a man saying, "Please leave a basket," in an English accent. It really stuck with me, so I repeat it everywhere we go. It's kind of an inside joke with our group, but this time I actually got a response.
Yeah, please leave it in a basket.
Okay.
Yeah, please leave it in a basket.
Okay. Okay.
You know, you can probably see and hear us very easily, but we have a hard time hearing and seeing you. That's why we have all these little things that we carry with us. So don't be afraid of them. They're not to hurt you, they're just to help us be able to see you and communicate with you.
I'm going to scoot by you here. Okay. Can I go back here a little bit?
How many people still live here in the mansion?
Francis, are you down here? We understand you died as a young woman after having 5 children. Are you still here? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a gas water heater, it's like the gas valve clicking. Oh, that's pressure tank.
We were able to capture 2 other EVPs in the basement, both of which were decent quality.
Okay, so you sawed the loft. Okay, so you sawed the loft.
We caught this one as we were walking back up the steps. It kind of sounds like an animal. We found out later that a spirit of a cat has been caught many times in the basement. I think I might have stepped on it.
Do you remember me? I'm Linda. I told you I'd come back. Remember last time I wanted you to say apple pie? And you kept saying peach pie? Do you remember that? I bought my dog Rip back again. I told you I would. He's not real, but he loves to be petted.
After about a half hour of asking questions in the dark, Linda got this response.
Can you say Hannah? Okay. Can you say Hannah? Okay.
It sure sounds like Hannah to me. Now, we explored the house thoroughly and caught some very good evidence over the next couple nights. Unfortunately, we can't show it all to you here. We also had some friends of ours from the GAS Paranormal team come and help us out. I did have one experience that really stands out for me though. While sleeping on the floor the very first night we were there, I was awoken suddenly by someone or something grabbing my side very hard. I remember laying there thinking, did that really just happen? But I could still clearly feel the spots on my side where they had dug their fingers into me.
Something just grabbed me.
Nuh-uh.
I swear to God.
Where at?
Right on the side. What the
That's crazy.
When I sat up, I think I was more mad than anything else, being woke up out of a sound sleep when I was really tired. But when I look back on it now, it gives me shivers to think of the spirit standing there watching me and then deciding to grab a hold of me. For hundreds of years, this beautiful land situated on the banks of the Susquehanna River has been called one thing: home. First by the Native Americans whose village once stood here, and then later by the colonial settlers who built this incredible mansion. An important man of science once walked its halls, known by presidents and visited by people such as Charles Darwin and Noah Webster. Many would argue this man helped to change the world at that time. He too called this place home. But regardless of who lived here and when, these people all had one thing in common: they loved this land. They raised their families and worked here, and through good times and bad, they lived their lives here. And inevitably, they died here. Recently, some would say on a dark and quiet night that if you listen very closely in the halls and rooms of this historic mansion, that you can still hear